Happy Friday, y'all. Welcome to Joy of the Trade. This is my weekly roundup. I'm going to go through what kind of transpired this week in the market, talk about what to expect going forward. We're kind of in the middle of the dog days of summer. I mean, mid-August, it doesn't get more summer doldrums than this right now. We just went through all the big corporate earnings. Um, Obviously, we're in a crazy market. We're in a crazy world. Things are heightened, but the seasonal patterns still do exist to a certain extent. So, next couple of weeks, we could get some shocks. When you have low volume, you can get shock price movements. We had it in some commodities this week. I had a couple of nervous Nellies panic on me, calmed them down, got them back, got them back under, in line, under control, regained the plot, seen a nice recovery in a lot of those things, nice recovery in a lot of the NASDAQ stocks. They also got hit. It was basically like Tuesday was a little bit of a distribution day. It was a shakeout. Really what it was a shakeout. What's a shakeout? A shakeout is when the big dogs and the real Wall Street operators want to acquire your shares. They want you to puke your inventory all over them at cheaper rates. And so invariably, same thing happens in poker. The weak hands panic, they puke their positions out, they get shaken out of the trend, and the trend resumes. So I use that for my subscribers as kind of like a teachable moment to understand that there's different things that happen that you need to see happen for a trend to reverse. And so it's always like psychologically common, specifically for people that haven't traded for a long time or invested for a long time, to feel nervous about making money. When you're making a lot of money, it can be almost as unsettling as losing a lot of money. So you what I would say to that is get used to it, because it's a good thing, right? Get used to making money. But more importantly, have a system that's more mathematically based on how you exit trades. So that's to say, if you're going to sit there in a trade and it's working and it's working and it's working, and let's say, like just random numbers. Let's say you make $100. Let's say you make not $100. Let's say you make $100 on the stock, okay? And let's say the stock comes down $20 or less, $15. So you made 100, you sat for this whole thing, went up $100, and then it comes down $20. And you get shaken out. But it's not a real revert. Like if trading and the trend hasn't really broken down yet. What are you doing? What are you doing? And then you're going to look and say, oh, I should have sold that 100. Well, in hindsight, yeah, you should have sold that 100. But the reality is, what you have to really understand is, without that plan, you would have never sat the entire time for that ride up to get to $100, right? You would have probably gotten out up $300. So if you go to $100, then you go down to $800, you're really $500 ahead of the game. And that's assuming that you had the ability to enter the trade or the investment at the correct time, which you probably didn't, because you're not trading with a plan at that point. So the point that I'm making is that if you're a trend follower, and I am to a degree, I like to be hedged. That's why I have a money link, but that's also a trend. You should understand what you're doing, what you're sitting for on the upside, and what you're looking for on the downside. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is it making a little bit of sense? But there's another thing that I want to share with you that kind of ruffled my feathers this week a little bit, because it got a lot of people that don't know what they're doing to capitulate and to get shaken out of what is a good trend and a good trade. So what I'm showing you right here is a spread between the S&P growth. So SGX index is S&P 500 growth index. These are the growth stocks, mostly tech, a lot of stocks that are also in the NASDAQ. And this is the S&P value index, okay? And so I chose a 6-month chart to look at, because we've been going through basically this hell for the last 6 months. So value index up here is down 12% in that period of time, while the growth index is up 9%. Combined, spreads up 21%, right? So this week, late last week and the beginning of this week, we had this deluge here, right? This was this shakeout. And a lot of people, a lot of talking heads on CNBC and et cetera, on Twitter Finance were like, The market is going to have new leadership. It's going to be the value stocks that are going to take us higher. And I was like, no, no, no. I'm shaking my head. I'm thinking to myself, you cannot be both bullish on the market and on the dog crap stocks of the market right here. You cannot. It's one or the other. Either the market's going to completely collapse from the weight of the growth stocks, or these stocks are going to continue to underperform the value stocks. For me, it's clear cut. It's clear cut. So a lot of my positions are based on this methodology here, or some component of it. So I expect this to go a lot higher, actually. Over a year, it's a trend that's not going to change, because this is a secular shift in how we live life. The companies that are growing, that are thriving in the new reality. They're going to thrive in the future. The companies that are dying should die. In fact, I think a lot of these value companies might be expensive. I think this might not be down enough, actually. So if we do get a pullback, I expect the pullback to happen because of the weight of the value going lower, not because of the collapse here. You'll still see this continue to be okay. What I'm nervous about with the growth stocks is you get a crash on the upside, a capitulation, a blow off top, where everyone is like, I have to be, they finally have this come to Jesus moment that we're like, oh my God, I've been fighting this trend the whole time. And that's when me and my subscribers are going to be there with our stock and our inventory and say, yours, thank you for the trade. They're going to get in at the top, and then you have to just fight a little bit. It's going to grind out. But that's how I see it playing out. Don't get shaken out. Don't get spun around by the talking heads. Have a plan. If you don't know how to trade these markets, sign up for Money Links today. LFG, have a great weekend.